Welcome to the Ivaldi Sako podcast. In this episode, we're going to see how to become a true leader, a real respected leader that will build and manage a great team, to build a great business, do so with more ease, become a real leader. And I've taken these 12 principles or fundamentals of leadership from the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko, Willink and Leif Babin. These are two Navy SEALs that have served in Iraq in highly dangerous and very, very dangerous combat in Iraq, and have also came into the business world and helped big leaders of big companies to lead their companies, to lead their team, to build and grow the business. And I've already taken 3 of those principles and I have applied them, and it's just very, very useful. So I think it's going to be very useful to you if you have a business, if you plan to have one, if you are trying to lead better in your life as well. It's going to help you a lot. I thought this book was more about ownership, taking responsibility, but it has a lot more to do with business, with precisely to business. So if you have a business, it's going to help you a lot. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Ivaldi Sako. I'm the founder of OreGrowth.com. We help business coaches and experts in their field to attract high-paying clients every month on autopilot with our automated client attraction system. And here, what I do is I document what I learn every week to help you become truly free and successful, have this next level to your business, be able to lead better. I talk about things on business, personal development, things that will improve your life on the everyday, right? And just things that I learn. Also, human psychology, things that I'm interested in. I learn a lot about during the week. I make mistakes. I tell you about it here. And I also mostly talk about things that most people don't, because I just it's my own experience, right? I have some challenges in my business. I figure out the solutions. I give it to me here, right? And I also learn a lot of books and I give you the most important principles of them. So I think it's a great use of your time. If you would want to listen to me, subscribe and join this podcast and listen to me every week. I think it's great use of your time, honestly. And also we have a little agreement here, and it's that if you get some value out of the show, you share it. You share it with a friend so that it helps him as well. Has helped him, her. And let's get into it. Part 1. I'm going to read you my notes and I'm going to explain to you a little bit more in details the principles and how they apply. If they need more explanation, I'll explain to you more. And honestly, just take one of those. Ask yourself while I speak, while I tell you about those principles, ask yourself, okay, how can I apply these in my life, in my business? I have this problem right now. How can I apply this to solve it? And I promise you, if you think this way, just like I listened to the book on Audible, and while I was listening to it, I was asking myself, okay, how can I apply this in my business right now? And it helps you a lot. It's just I have found a lot of solutions. I have made my business more anyway, I'll tell you later because I'm going to spoil you. So let's get into it. Chapter 1, Extreme Ownership. So the first part is winning the war within. It tells you there's 3 parts to it. Part 1, winning the war within. Part 2, the laws of combat. And part 3, sustaining victory. These are the 3 parts of the book. And the 3 parts that are, all the principles inside of it, there's 3 parts to them, right? There's first the principles of leadership within yourself, then on the combat, and then sustaining, always continuing to have results, right? So, chapter 1, extreme ownership. Everything that happens is because of me. My team made mistakes and didn't get the job done, didn't get great results. It was supposedly their fault. It was I've explained to them exactly how to do it, and yet they've come short. It's still your fault. It's my fault, right? It's nobody else's fault. It's my fault and my responsibility. I should have trained them better, been more clear, and hired better people. Now, of course, for a lot of people, this is kind of obvious, but sometimes we don't do it, right? Sometimes it's just we think we're doing it, but we're not really doing it. And sometimes it's just an automatic thought. Okay, I can't get good people here, right? I can't get good people to work with me. And sometimes it's not, if it happens, if the same issue happens with a lot of people and yourself, guess what? That's kind of your problem, because you are the same factor all the time. And so you need to take extreme ownership. Like, everything is your fault. Everything is your responsibility. This is the big premise of the book. On chapter 2, oh, by the way, in the chapter 1, he tells you about a story where he tells like people, they've come short on the mission, or they made a big mistake, and he was trying to figure out, okay, who's to blame for this, and he's going on the meeting and telling people, don't you know whose fault is that? Don't you know whose fault is that? And he's asking a lot of times, and some people it was in the military, and they're like, okay, I think it was my fault because I didn't do X and Y, Z, right? And another one, no, I think it was my fault because I didn't check that. And another guy says like, oh, maybe it's my, and then he stops it like, no, guys, it's my fault. This is who is to blame. It's me. And to make sure this never happens again, here's what I will do from now on. And here's how this won't happen again. He tells it in front of everyone. And this was a big issue. And you can do this in your business, for example. You tell, like, when you go on and tell people, okay, this should change. You don't tell them, okay, you did this wrong. You tell them, I made a mistake. I didn't tell you properly this and that. And this way, first of all, they will react better. They will not have the ego, like playing around, like trying to resist what you're telling them. They will feel like, okay, he's taking ownership. And guess what? This energy reciprocates. Like, when you take ownership, people want to take ownership themselves as well, right? Chapter 2, no bad teams, only bad leaders. If your team isn't performing, it's your fault. A good leader with a good attitude will always transform any bad team into a great one. With his attitudes, his attitude, his beliefs, and his positive personality and his positive affirmations toward the team, to push his team forward, to give their best. And he doesn't have this attitude. He was telling us, like, I think it was in this chapter, that he tells you about a story where there's 2 different groups. There's 6 groups, I think, of military teams, right? 6 small groups of military teams, and they have a big training to do, right? I think it was a test, and it's a big, like, very hard physical training or physical test that they got to go through, and if they don't succeed, they are in a pretty, like, bad situation, and it's, like, pretty shameful to be in this position. So there are 2 teams that differentiate themselves. There's a team that does well and a team that does badly. And those 2 teams, like team 1 is the first one, right? They succeed, they go all in, and they're the first of all the teams. The second team, let's call it team 4. Well, they're 4th in the, like, they just are way back. They don't have, they're not succeeding, right? They don't just, it was like a series of challenges, physical challenges, like they had to go through the water and just like go swim and mount up. Anyway, they end up 4th. The managers of this test end up switching the leaders. Guess what happens? Yes, the first team that had a great team, the leader of the good team happens to become the leader of the team that was last, right? That was not performing well. And this team was regarded as bad, right? Not a great team. And then the great leader, well, I just gave it away. Anyway, when they switched leaders, the team that was performing badly, they end up winning. And so this is just because the attitude of the leader changed. They just switched up the leaders, and the results changed completely. Just because of the leader. It was not about a team, because the team became better because of the leader. The attitude of the leader, like, transformed a bad team into a great one. And the bad team was not bad inherently. It was because of the bad leader. The leader has a bad attitude, has a negative attitude, didn't push his team the right way. And so it's always the fault of the leader. Everything falls out on the leader. And so when taking ownership of this, you take ownership of your attitude, and you try to see and become aware, where can I improve? What am I doing wrong? How can I push these people more positively and make them motivated to win? Chapter 3, very important, believe. That's simply it. This is the fundamental, believe. And I love how the chapters of this book and the principles and the fundamentals are just like so simple, which by the way is the 6th one. Simple, like believe, one word. Tell your team why they should do something. Give them facts so they can understand and believe that what you're telling them to do is the right course of action. Because if they don't believe, how are they going to take action? They're not going to be very motivated. They're not going to think, okay, this is going to work, so why should I put all this effort into it, because it's not going to work, right? They don't believe. But if you tell them why, to make them believe, you need to tell them why, to add justification, to justify everything that you give. By the way, in one of the last podcasts, one of the last episodes, I talked about Sun Tzu and the art of war, and he tells you this as well. Every orders need to be justified. If you don't justify your orders, people are not going to follow your orders properly, and so you're not going to win. Believe, it's very important. And for you to make your team believe, you need yourself to believe, because you can't transmit an emotion that you don't have. You can't transmit a belief that you don't have. So first of all, you need to know yourself why you're doing something. What are the facts? Okay, we're doing this because of this, and that. If we do this, this is what is most likely to happen. So here you go. This is why we do it. And so you tell this to your team. Do this task because ... right? Chapter 4, check the ego. You don't, if you have ego in play, you can't, you're not going to make the good decisions. Maybe you don't want to believe, I wrote this down, maybe you don't want to believe you made a mistake, or that the system you created isn't perfect or needs to change because you created it. Well, you need to check the ego. It might be preventing you from growing and seeing what you really should be doing, because you took a lot of pride. You put a lot of investment, of energy into something, of thought, and you try to create something great, and then you realize it's not perfect. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts the ego. You don't want to believe that. So maybe you check this. Okay, am I not willing to admit that it should be improved? It needs the improvement. That we're not getting great results. Maybe it's because of me, right? Is it? If we don't get results because of me, I need to change that. I need to put my ego aside and change that. Part 2, the laws of combat. So this was on a more personal level, like extreme ownership on a personal side. Now this is about the team. Chapter 5 is cover and move. I wrote this down. Seize, clear, hold, build. This is what people do. People just, this is what people do in the army. Sorry, I'm getting distracted a little bit here. So I was saying, I had to pause it a little bit. Anyway, chapter 5, cover and move. Seize, clear, hold, and build. This is the kind of things are super simple and make the team progress. This is a kind of SOP that you can have. Seize, clear, hold, and build. This is what they had in the military. To go into a building, seize it, clear it, hold it, and build it. Build up on that. And so I wrote down this. Work as a team, not as multiple independent individuals. Be united to make sure to achieve the mission. Because if you're not united, if you're not all the members of the team on one same mission, it's gonna be complicated. If everyone has their own intentions, their own things that they want to do, their own way of going about doing it, it's not going to work, right? So you need to align everyone on one single mission and make sure everybody understands it. Make sure everybody is clear on that by making it chapter 6, simple. You need to make everything simple. Simplify the tasks. I wrote this down for my own business. Simplify the task and the road to get to your goal. So everyone understands it, because even if having a better system, even if you have a better system by making it more complicated, it's not going to be better because it's not understandable. So people won't understand it. Neither your team or your client. If there's too many steps that are too complicated, it's difficult to understand it, it's not good. Because you can't apply it properly. And so try to simplify. And simplifying, sometimes I have a hard time simplifying because I find it hard to take off things that I think are useful, right? But try to think of things that are the most useful, things that are just like, sometimes it's useful to think, okay, what are the crucial things? Without those things, the system doesn't work. Without those things, we can't achieve the result, right? Without those things, that's it. It's done. Like it doesn't work. And when you think of it this way, it's easier to go and delete things, to erase it. Like simplifying is just to take off, right? Just take off things. For example, you have a big SOP, you have a list of steps to go through. Well, try to, okay, this step we don't need. Boom, boom, boom. And this is what you simplify. And when you simplify, it's a lot easier to do and to achieve the results. And when you have a lot of complexities at the beginning of your business, it's going to be super hard to scale. I noticed that for my business. I was realizing, like, okay, my God, if I have all these things to do and I have to put like 4 people on the same page on this, there's a lot of ways this could go wrong. But if I simplify it, if it's so simple that a 5-year-old could understand it, it's so smooth. It goes very fluidly. It's easy to do it like this. And so I heard this, I think, from Alex Hormozi. Simple scales, fancy fails. And so if you want to be able to scale, to be able to grow, you need to simplify. If you add complexity, you're going to fail. It's not going to work. People won't understand it. And it's just like there's way too many variables to be able to find out, okay, which variables actually works. So reduce the variables and focus on them. Have focus. Like basically this is what simplifying allows you to have. Focus. Chapter 7, prioritize and execute. I wrote a good amount of things on this. You must take a step back from the situation, relax, look around, and make a call. This is what they say. I think this is what Jocko Willink says, and like when he was in the military. Relax, look around, and make a call. So relax, it makes you, okay, take a step back from the midst of the problem, right? You're inside the problem. You're a participant in the problem. You're not the observer. Try to become the observer. Have a greater, a wider view, a third-person view on the problem, to be able to relax and see things logically. And look around. Look at what's happening from this view, right? And then you can make a decision from this place, not in the midst of it. In the midst of things, you're seeing only just your perspective, right? If you're seeing like just your path, you don't see that at the end of the road, someone that is elevated can see, okay, well, this is like, you're going completely the wrong way right now. But if you're in the midst of things, you just don't see it. You don't see the road is like, it's closed. But if you're on a high view, you can see, okay, this is like, there's a problem there, right? And so it's easier to see things. So prioritize and execute. To do that, you need to take this step back. And then you need to prioritize. Okay, define the objective, the most important thing, and then execute on that. And then once you execute on this one first priority, then you take the next one and focus on the next one and then the other. You don't try to have too many things at the same time. One single thing at a time. And when you do that, you put all your effort into this one thing, you're gonna get it fixed. If an issue comes up and you focus on this one priority issue, you're gonna get done. You're gonna get it done. And then you're gonna be able to move forward and get the next issue solved. And I wrote this for the pharmaceutical CEO. It was his sales division. Instead of doing all, so it was a CEO trying to grow his company, trying to scale by launching a lot of initiatives. He had a lot of things going on. So he wanted to change the compensation plan for his salespeople. He was trying to add multiple other products, like other product lines, and try to launch on a new market at the same time. And Jocko Willink was a consultant, I think, in this company, and he was saying, look, trying to do all those things, what if you just reduce down your efforts onto one thing? What would be the one thing that would make the most amount of results? Or maybe what would be the thing that would be crucial? Like if you didn't do that, your business will be in a bad situation. And he realized it was his sales division, right? It was his like focusing on sales, and he just focused on that first, on this first initiative, and then once he got a lot of momentum on that, he then, boom, choose to focus on the next one, and on the next one, but one thing at a time. If you don't, you're gonna get, it's complex, right? It adds complexity, and so it's not simple, and so it's going to fail. It's not going to allow you to scale. To implement, prioritize, and execute, a leader must do the following. And also this works when you are overwhelmed. 1. Evaluate the highest priority problem. 2. Lay out in simple, concise, and clear terms the highest priority effort for the team. 3. Develop and determine a solution. Seek input from key leaders and the team. So you need to gather data, right? Direct the execution of that solution, focusing all efforts and resources toward this priority task. And then you move on to the next priority task, priority problem, and you repeat. That's all you do. You evaluate, you lay out in simple, concise terms the highest priority for the team. You develop and determine a solution, and you seek this. You determine the solution by seeking input, seeking information, and then, boom, you focus all your efforts and resources onto this task, and boom, you change the task. Chapter 8. A person can only lead 4 to 6 humans effectively. You must determine the commander's intent. So the chapter 8 is called Decentralized Command. And so you must determine the commander's intent, the end goal of the mission, the end goal of the mission. And so you need to determine the mission and why the task given to someone is important, right? So the centralized command is giving like the big mission. And once you give the big mission, there's tasks into this mission. And so you need to tell people why they need to do this task, and the why becomes the commander's intent as well. So the commander's intent is not only the mission, but also the why, the reason why, to make people believe. So they are intertwined. And so this is what you might like, if you want to be able to decentralize commands, which you want to, because if you don't, you're going to be like always over managing people. And so if you don't want to do that, what you must do is try to implement this commander's intent into all of your team. So they know, it's sort of a principle, right? They know what to do just because you told that this is the mission. So they know when they're going to do something, whether this is going to bring them forward toward the mission, to achieve the mission or not. This is the value of having a commander's intent. This is a big principle, the big general rule that will help them go in the right direction. Then there's part 3, sustaining victory. Chapter 9, it's plan. I love how simple these chapters are. Like plan, simple, prioritize and execute, right? Plan. To plan, I have a lot of struggle. I struggle a lot to plan. It's like something that's just not innate to me. It's just like very hard. It takes me a lot of time. But with this, it's much easier. Maybe it's going to be easier for you too. So, at the beginning, ask yourself, what's the mission? Planning starts with mission analysis. Leaders must identify clear directives for the team. Once they themselves understand the mission, they can give tasks to execute the mission to their troops, to their team. A broad and ambiguous mission results in a lack of focus and ineffective execution. The mission must be carefully refined and simplified to achieve the greater strategic mission. The mission must define the desired end state, the end result, right? On this part, I try to make myself imagine what it would look like when we have achieved it, right? The environment, the feeling sometimes, like, okay, right now we feel safe. Okay, the results, the actual like tangible numbers, what does it look like, right? This is the end goal. And the commander's intent is the most important part of the plan, to give guidance to how to act to achieve the mission. Giving the planning task to subordinate leaders makes them believe more and understand the mission. So you ask your team to come up with a plan. Not only you don't need to plan everything, right? There's a lot of things to plan in a business. So sometimes it's good to have, okay, you have a team and on this department, you're going to be in charge of the plan. You come up with a plan, and then what you can do is have this overview, have this higher level view to be able to see, okay, this is a good plan, but right now here, right there, you can do this instead, right? Because this is not going to work because right, of this. And then you can make them believe in your modification of the plan. And you must prioritize the information that needs to be presented to participants so they don't feel information overwhelmed. Information overload. And they will feel overwhelmed. There's way too many information that you can give anyone. And so figuring out, simplifying the information that is actually useful is it's crucial to be able to give the people the capacity to actually execute, because they're not going to be able to execute if they feel information overload. There's too many information taken into account. It's not going to work. It's too complex. And so you must prioritize the information that needs to be presented to participants so they don't feel information overload. And leaders must ask questions and encourage questions to make sure everyone understands the mission, the contingencies, the likely challenges, and how to react in face of a problem. So one thing that Jocko Willink asked his team to do is to rephrase in their own words the plan. So if they restate it well enough, good enough, he knows they understood. If they don't, they're not capable of telling you what's the plan, well, they don't understand clearly enough. So you must see, okay, what they are not understanding, and give them the additional information that they need, or emphasize more a part of the plan so they understand, and encourage them to ask questions to fill the gap of knowledge that they have on the plan. And then the plan must take into account the possible risks and mitigate them, right? You need to plan, okay, this could happen, so if this happens, we're going to do this. And to prevent this from happening, we're going to take this many actions, right? We're going to make this so good that it can't break. So we minimize the risk of it breaking. And you must enable the highest probability of success while minimizing the risks. You must focus on the risks that actually can be controlled, because there are risks that can't be controlled, and you must be comfortable taking some level of risk, right? You're never going to be able to, I wish, you have no idea how much uncomfortable I am taking risks. I'm very risk averse, and I just figure okay, can I control this risk? And sometimes even if I can control the risk, I try to not minimize it too much, because I tend to do this way too much. I try to plan and do all these worst case scenario planning, because I just don't want to be confronted with this risk. I don't want it. Even if it's just a little bit, I don't want it. And so I try to just minimize the risks that are like pretty big, that I couldn't really deal with if they happened. And then if I can deal with the problem, it's not, okay, we're gonna figure this out on the moment, right? If it happens, we'll figure it out. This is what you like. I figure it out. I will figure it out. It's just like a good mindset for me to have, because if I don't tell myself this, I will be in information overload. I will be overwhelmed and indecisive, to be honest. So this you got to figure out for yourself, right? Try to minimize the risks, but the risks that you can control, of course. And even though the risk you can control, sometimes you can control too many risks. And so find out the risks that are worth minimizing. You must focus on the risks that actually can be controlled. I already said that. You must make time for post-operational debrief. This is very important. I do this every day and every week on the day and on the week. What happens, right? What happened? You went on, you tried to apply the plan. You tried to achieve like all the things that you wanted to achieve this week. What happened? What were the results? What were the results? What did you do actually? What did you succeed in? What didn't get done? And how could you improve next time? These three things, I always do this. What are the wins of my week? First of all, I do this daily. So what are the wins of the day? What did I not do during the day that I was supposed to? And how I will improve. This way I can know I'm learning from my mistake every day. And next day I'm trying to do better. And on the week, I summarize all these things, which I just did this morning. I summarize all these things. This week I did all this. This was great. I didn't do all those things. And I need to do them later, or maybe I can figure out why I didn't do them. And so I will know how I will improve. This is a post-operational, like, after-action report. This is how David Goggins calls it. After-action report, and I actually have a file called AAR, after-action report. Today's win, what didn't get done, how I will improve. Very easy, straightforward, but it helps you a lot. And so this operational debrief, it examines all phases of an operation from planning to execution in a concise format. It addresses the points: what went right, what went wrong, how can we adapt our tactics to make us even more effective and enable even more advantage against the enemies next time, right? This is made so we can improve and not repeat the same mistakes. This must be standardized with a checklist geared toward participants so it's easy to execute. So on a business level, you need to have this checklist. Analyze the mission, understand our headquarters mission, the commander's intent, and the end state. Identify the end state, identify personal assets, resources, and time available. Decentralize the planning process, empower key leaders within the team to analyze the possible courses of action. Determine a specific course of action, lean toward specific, like the one that is most likely to get results. Mitigate risks that can be controlled as much as possible. Delegate portions of the plan and brief to key junior leaders, right, to tell them exactly what is going to happen. Continually check and question the plan with emerging information. So the more information you get, the more the plan needs to adapt, right? The situation is always changing. There's nothing like staying still. So you need to adapt. Emphasize, before that, brief the plan to all participants and supporting assets. Emphasize commander's intent, ask questions, and engage in discussions and interactions with the team to make sure they understand. Conduct post-operational debrief after execution. Analyze lessons learned, implement them in future planning. So this was a checklist for planning for any leader. On to chapter 10. I'm getting very, very hot right now. I'm going to drink a little bit of water. Excuse me. And so chapter 10 is leading up and down the chain of command. There's people above you and there's people under you. Now, if you're the CEO, if you're the founder, there's nobody above you. Well, actually, there might be. The client might be the person above you. The customers could be perceived as being above you because they control if you are in business or not, right? So everything is your responsibility. You must lead down the chain of command to your subordinate, but also above the chain of command. So if you're a manager and you have your higher level manager, your, the people, the CEO, to whom you give feedback, tell what's happening, right? You are in charge of them above and them below you in the chain of command, because you are in charge of what information gets the people above you. You are in charge of both sides, and this is very important. So you need to lead and give orders to people that are below you, right, in the chain. And you need to lead by giving situational awareness to people that are above you, to give them the correct information so they can lead you better, because they're not in the field. So if me, I'm the founder, I have my manager, I don't have all the context that he has. So it's his role to lead me, to have all the information I need to be able to lead him better then. Chapter 11, decisiveness amidst uncertainty. You will never be 100% certain about a decision, but you must decide quickly with the information available at a given moment and adapt quickly with the new information. I just heard a podcast on which the host told that Jeff Bezos makes decisions only with 70% of the information. He says that having more certainty than this is just a waste of time, because it's just like a disproportionate amount. I'm not an English native speaker. Okay, I'm French. Sorry for my English. A disproportionate amount of time for the little information you're gonna get, and what is more important than this is your capacity to adapt when you have made a bad decision, right? This is the most important thing. And so you need to adapt quickly with new information. And you need to evaluate the possible scenarios. Leaders must be prepared to make an educated guess with their previous experience, knowledge of how the enemy operates, likely outcomes, and the intelligence available at this moment. Don't wait to see what happens or for more information to come up or the situation to change magically. Instead of letting a situation dictate our decision, we must dictate the situation. For majority of time, for decisions that are not life or death situation, you must have an aggressive approach to decision making decisions fast. Being decisive is one of the best character traits that you can have as leader. And in the book, he tells you about a CEO that had a choice to make between two important managers that were not happy working together. So they had to work together, and they just completely disliked each other, and they were responsible for big parts of the company. And the CEO had to make a decision to, the two people at the same time, they give an ultimatum to the CEO. So I can't work with this guy. If he stays in the company, I'm leaving. And both people, like the CEO, saw these both managers as crucial for the team, crucial for the business, and had important knowledge that she couldn't, like the CEO couldn't make the business work without them, seemingly. And Jocko Willink was a consultant for her, and he told her, wait, like, what information do you have right now, right? To me, the viewpoint I have is you're going to be in trouble whether these people stay or leave. Anyone, right? If it's this manager or this one, because both of them are just putting the company in jeopardy because of their behavior. They're not great leaders because of the way they behave. And so she didn't know what to do. She was thinking about just staying still and just seeing how things go, because she didn't want to make a decision which would be either to fire one or the other. And Jocko said to her, fire both. And she was like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, I wouldn't want to have these kind of leaders in my company. Do you? And she was like, oh yeah, that is true. And so she fired them both, and guess what? Nothing happened. Like, nothing happened. The teams of both of these managers were completely self-sustainable, and they didn't need their managers to be able to complete the work. Someone else came into their roles, and it completed, like, the company went well. The problems just went completely away. This aggressive approach to decision making is just always, most of the time, never always, but most of the time, the good way to go about it. Chapter 12, discipline equals freedom. So this is a dichotomy. The dichotomy of leadership. Because discipline is kind of the contrary of freedom, right? If you're free, you don't need to be disciplined. If you're disciplined, you can't be really free because you have to be disciplined. And so discipline, he tells you that discipline is the path to freedom. This is very important. For individual as well as for team, discipline is freedom. So exercise discipline by using standard operation procedures. Standardize everything. Communication, loading the trucks. I wrote this down because he was telling us, like, every single little part of the procedures that they have to go through in the military was standardized. So there was specific steps that they need to go through to be able to achieve a certain result. All the time, systematically. And this tells, wait, do you see me properly? And this made me see, okay, I can systematize everything. And I'm kind of obsessed with systems. Any action that is repeated and a part of a process must be standardized. And through the standardization, you find freedom to execute, adapt, and gain time. So even if it's like a constraint to have, like, you have to do it in this way, well, this way allows you to do it faster and allows you to have more free time. And so it allows you freedom. And there's a dichotomy of leadership. So a leader has to be balanced. And it can't be too aggressive, nor too, how do you say the contrary of aggressive? Well, here's the list that he gives you exactly. A leader must lead, but also have the ability to follow, right? Follow orders. Okay, he has more information than I do, I need to listen to him. Aggressive, but not overbearing. Calm, not too emotional, but not robotic. Quiet, but not silent. Confident, but not cocky. Brave, but not reckless, to just risk anything. Competitive, but a gracious loser, and not have a negative attitude when you lose, because it will make you lose even more, and it will make the team just make you less, respect you less. Attentive to details, but not obsessed by them. Strong, but also have endurance. Humble, but not passive. Close with subordinate, but not too close that one member of the subordinates one member of the team becomes too close compared to the other ones, or becomes more important than the greater mission. He must exercise extreme ownership, but at the same time use decentralized command. So everything is his fault, but he also gives responsibility to people, right? To his team. And so this is the dichotomy of leadership. You must be a balanced leader. You can't be too aggressive. If you're too aggressive, people won't want to come to you and talk to you. You need to listen to your team so they feel respected, they feel like you're listening to them and you're with them. In the field, you're with them. You can't do everything on the field, but if they see you never doing anything, are they going to respect you? Are they going to see, okay, he's not doing the things that he tells me to do. Why would I do this? Why should I listen to him? You need to give people a reason, always a reason, to make them believe in you, believe in the mission, and believe in the company. Make the company a lot of money. If you like the podcast, hopefully you share it. If you got a lot of value from this, hopefully you share it, and you subscribe to listen to me on the next episode. I'll see you there. Take care.